inherently take, and I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today, I want to talk about being a modern witch, in my case, a cottage witch, and celebrating Beltane. Or honestly, celebrating most of these pagan holidays. So I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about that because we are coming on the point of Beltane. And I wanted to just share sort of modern approaches to celebrating Beltane. Um, I understand for some of us modern witches, a lot of these holidays, Beltane, Ostera, Yule, Samhain, leave the what am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting something. All of these holidays have they may not, you want to celebrate. Um, you like to be able to acknowledge the wheel of the year. However, it doesn't resonate with you if you live in a climate that these holidays just don't make sense. If you live someplace where there's still very much snow happening right now, it's hard for you to kind of get into the Beltane's point of view, fertility and flowers. Same thing what we just celebrated with Sarah, but Beltane specifically is also, yes, the visuals. When you think about Beltane, it's kind of like, almost, it's definitively spring, almost summer type energy. And the thing about that is, it's not going to be like that for everyone. You can sort of invoke the feeling of, even though your visuals, what's in front of you might not look like that. But first and foremost, when it comes to Beltane, please understand Beltane is the ritual of Beltane, or celebrating, is basically a fertility festival. So you can tap into that regardless if it's icy out or if you're seeing flowers start to bloom in sunny skies. You can still very much take advantage of that. This, to me, is one of those holidays I think you should. Also, keep in mind, Beltane is opposing to Samhain. It's sort of equal distance. So, you know how we always say, as witches, the veil is thin during Samhain, right? Well, the veil is also thin at this time as well. So it's an opportunity to communicate with spirits, to get messages. If you are on your spiritual journey and you come from a line of practitioners, even if you weren't sure, if you have some questions, this time of year is a great time to attempt communication. One thing I know that I'll be doing is, whenever I make any sort of communication, I usually don't cast circles very often, but I have been very intentional on casting a circle for this because I think it's going to be, I like to have that extra layer of protection because so much is going on. From an astrological point of view, there is a lot of energy at play, and I just want that extra protection. I have wards around my home. I have protection grids, which is bottles and other stuff that I'm going to get into of protection for the home. And then there's personal amulets and things like that that I use as well for me and my family. So I like to take extra step of precaution and make sure I cast the circle if I'm doing any sort of communication. Honestly, I would say over the next 6 days, I would tell you, maybe if you're doing any sort of working right now, and even if you don't normally cast a circle, maybe you want to cast one this time, just in case, because the veil's thinning. It's not a definitive point. So, you'll notice, and we're also in Mercury retrograde, so keep that in mind. Mercury is in retrograde, so keep that in mind when you're working, you're doing any workings or rituals right now as well, especially things in the communication sector. If you're trying to communicate, be patient, take your time, don't rush. If you get excited and you do feel like you've got, reached contact with the spirit, the one that you wanted, be patient, give yourself a lot of time, don't rush the process so nothing gets lost in translation. But as far as Beltane, again, celebrating as a modern witch, taking on just the grand fertility festival point of view, I find this is a time of increase. So if I want to work any magic or spells right now, it's going to be for abundance to increase something, still coming off the energy of Ostera, of kind of like the seed being planted, hope, just the beginning budding of something that you're working on, so at this point, I want to sort of capitalize off of that, and I want to take the seeds I may have planted, and now I want to increase that. So for me, I did a plant. This is why I love doing like planting, working with seeds and plants and things like that. So I did plant some sage on Ostera, and it's in my kitchen window, and it's grown. It's growing. It's growing beautifully. So what I put into that, the energy as this grows, there were some things that I spoke into the plant as it grew, starting with the seed. And I used like moon water. Here's another way to layer your spells, by the way. Moon water and so forth. So once now that that's grown or is growing, so now's my opportunity to increase, using the energy of Beltane. And what would that look like? It can be just something I'm saying out loud and declaring. It can be something where I'm going over to the plant itself and I speak a charm. I can infuse that energy into a candle, maybe, and put it next to, near the plant, to make that connection. There's a couple different ways I can do that, but I'm just kind of giving general ideas. But that's what I want to do to increase fertility, right? And then the other thing I wanted to point out, as far as like that communication with spirit, since the veil is thin, another way you can go about this is, sit quietly, see if you get any downloads. That's the simplest thing, no tools required. Just if you can be still and just, preferably outside if that's possible, and see if you are able to, something comes through. A message, sign, symbol, something pops up out of nowhere. That might be very helpful. This is a good time to do something like that. However, if you're like me and you want a little bit, you need the tools a little bit to kind of communicate, or you want the tools to communicate, pull out some oracle cards or some tarot cards, and or if you, hey, maybe you have a spirit board. Maybe that's something you're doing. I don't have anything against that, by the way. Honestly, there's not very much under the witchcraft umbrella, tools and things like that I have a problem with. I notice others seem to have an issue with like Ouija boards, spirit boards, and things like that. These are all tools. Portal, it can be a portal, but only if you allow it to be, only if you're open to that. And if so, there are safeguards that you can put into place. I've seen or heard actually a lot of witches say, "Oh, I don't even mess with that." And for me, I guess I don't walk around in fear like that. Once upon a time, I used to. In the beginning of my craft, I know I was in a place like kind of balancing that fear, still shredding the last of the hold of Christianity, and everything's a demon. So doing that work, which was a lot of work to decolonize my mind and my spirit from that. But yeah, you can use a spirit board if you'd like. If you were waiting for an opportunity, maybe this is the great opportunity for you to try it. Again, cast a circle if you can. The other thing I would say, just as a modern witch to celebrate during this time, anything, decorate your altar with flowers, get into the aromatherapy aspect, whether it's incense for the scent itself, burning oil, scented oils, candles as well. The colors you want to get into are going to be your, things associated kind of with spring going into summer. So pinks, yellows, purples, orange, green, vibrant colors that, kind of what you see in nature with flowers. You see all these colors, right? Blue, some blues, maybe a light blue. Definitely, bring that out into your altar, show a little bit of that. Um, I think this is a great time, spring cleaning, if you haven't already, to clean your altar and just kind of freshen up the energy for increasing abundance and abundant in whatever you want to be abundant in. Um, Another tip, abundance spells. So if you know abundance means money, do your money spells now. Now let's get this other thing out the way. I mentioned before Mercury. Why am I struggling with this word? Mercury is in retrograde. Please do not let that deter you from practicing magic. Listen, I know there's different trains of thoughts. Oh, I won't do anything during that time. I am not in a position as a witch to not do any witchcraft during that time. When I mean I'm not in a position, because I practice witchcraft almost every day in some capacity. So you're always setting intentions, even if it's just for the day, and there's nothing really that serious. Like, you intend to go to work, you intend to finish work, come home and do your routine and so forth. And there's certain things you look forward to, so you draw that energy to you. At the end of the day, going out to dinner, having a good meal, finally getting to relax at the end of the day. All of these are magic in practice, because you are sending out messages to the universe, to your environment. You're definitely projecting, I can't wait to go home and rest, Um, yeah, so no, my point is, it doesn't make any sense. Now, I would take it under advisement depending on what type of work I'm doing. Depending on the type of work you're doing, I see when you start getting into, oh, I want to get my ex back, or I would be careful with some attraction spells, specifically romantic inclined attraction spells right now. And if you have a history with that person, a brand new person, probably okay. My concern would be if you're doing anything with the past right now, past relationships, going back to an old employer. This would be a precarious time to maybe do those sort of things, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, the biggest takeaways I would just tell you as a modern witch is, make all these holidays your own, Beltane included. What do you feel like fertility means to you as it relates to your practice and how you want to celebrate? Fertility could just simply be, if you have a family and you're with let's say you're in a large family, whether it's the one you made or you're part of, you know, just spending the day with these people fills you up with joy. That can be enough. That no one has to be a practicing witch, by the way. Have a cookout, have a dinner party, have lunch, brunch, or something like that. Go out somewhere. That might feel celebratory and you giving reference to this time. And honestly, you are tapping into that energy. Eating, drinking, being merry. Hey, if you can add maybe some sex at the end of the day, you've celebrated Beltane. I'm being very casual about this, but in a way, I feel like some of us could afford to be a little bit more casual, because there's so much, in my opinion, there's so much benefit to being able to celebrate these holidays. And it enriches your practice. It adds depth to your spirituality, to the practice of witchcraft. So that's why I'm suggesting. Another thing is just like some more hands-on stuff, is this is a great time to make potions. If you wanted to basically make something, especially in like a witchcraft area, if you wanted to make some candles, if you wanted to try a witchy craft, if you wanted to, when I said potions, I'm thinking like oil blends. If you wanted to try your hand at making incense, or something along those lines, great. If you wanted to work on an existing relationship and strengthen it, add some protection around it, romantic or otherwise, good time to do that. What I, again, would just stay away from is too much of trying to bring something from the past into the future. But honestly, in my experience, if you're in a mindset right now when you're working on trying to bring a person, what you had before, the life you had, aspects of the life you had into the present, I already want to caution you, regardless of the time of year it is or what's going on, to maybe rethink things. I've been around enough people, and honestly, from my own experience, to know that it can never be like it was. The person who they were then is never going to be who they are in the present. People go through things, people have reactions to things, and they change. So you're going to have to let that go. Um, and this is just because we are in Mercury retrograde. I have got to get this word out of my mouth in the right way. Mercury in retrograde. I'm having a problem that people have with the word February. Now, I can say February easy. I can spell it easy. I know some people, they can't get past that word. It's February. February is, but Mercury is my Achilles heel. Anyway, tangent alert. Anyway, I'm saying all this because with it being this time, there is this thing a lot of us have. I don't want to deal with an ex, or whether it's old friendships, relationships, or anything from the past, lifestyle. I'm good because I've reconciled those my feelings about that. But I know not everyone has done that, and it's not always about a person. It might be about a feeling or what you had, how you appeared. I think a lot of times as I'm getting older, I'm seeing some of my peers kind of obsess about the youth they once had. Not in a direct way that you think, but it comes up in ways like, oh yeah, if I was that age, I'd be doing this too. And it's like, well, you're able-bodied, you could go do it now. Well, no, I can't, I'm too old. Oh, okay. You're not. If you're alive, you can attempt. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can try, take your hand at something. There's room for all of us in every aspect to try something. I don't like thinking like that. I'm too old to do something. No, I don't like that. So, but I notice a lot of people are doing that, and it puts you in a space in your current situation where you are creating the negativity in your life because you're finding lack that shouldn't even be there. I mean, we are to grow old. We are to age, and it will visit, it'll show. And that's not bad. I realize, on this example, why people feel that way. Trust me, I'm influenced by youth culture and how that's sort of like top dog looks wise and things like that. And so many of us buy into it. I don't know. I keep a balance with that. I'm not saying I never like have insecure moments, but not that long and not that often. If I do, I don't know, I'm finding aging fascinating. When I see the fine lines on my face and I see how my body is changing, how I move a little differently, I do find that fascinating because I remember seeing this and my grandmother and um, her specifically, because my mom, I don't see her as an old person, an older person. So yeah, she's to me, she's ever in her 40s. How's that possible if I'm in my 40s? Don't ask. But my grandma, who was in her 80s, well into her 80s, um, I remember seeing her. My mom had me young, so I saw a lot. But I remember seeing her aging. I remember my grandmother in her 40s. So it's just interesting how like her movements, her body, like how she would get up. I'm starting to do that. Not like, crippled or anything. She's sprightly older woman. But yeah, if you know what, listen, if you're getting up there, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm on a full tangent now. I say all this to say, she, enough about my grandma, but you have to be very careful. Like, I enjoy this time right now. I find myself reminiscing often, very much the essence of the time. But that's okay. Just don't try to reach back and pull something from the past into the future. Youth, the money you used to have back then, the popularity you had back then, um, the friends you had, the dude, the guy, the girl, whatever. Don't do that. Please do not. trust me, whatever was then, that was what was happening at the time. You ever have a good hangout session with some people? Everybody had a good time, everybody just clicked, and you were like, wow, I hope this would be great if I could do this all the time. And then maybe there's another opportunity weeks later, and it just doesn't feel the same. And you're trying to find whatever that formula was that everybody got along, and it was just a good, it was okay, but it wasn't like before. It's hard to duplicate that. Even with willing participants who want to have a good time together, it's not quite the same. The circumstances has changed so much. I mean, every individual coming into a situation like that, they're coming with their own energy. You don't know what affected their energy that day. Maybe everyone was high. I don't know. But the point is, you can't bring the past into the future. So I'm harping on this because, again, the time that we're in, and with Beltane being a time of fertility, increase, abundance, working on healing and health, you might dip back a little bit. Don't do that. Envision your new life. See your new story. See how great you felt. I would focus on, I remember how great I felt when I could, call up so and so and we can go hang out. And so for me, the takeaway that I would want to bring in, and increases, I want to fill up my social calendar. I can't wait to go to brunch and have fun with people or a person, keep it vague. I can't wait until, I get to go on my girls trip with me and my girls. It's okay if you don't have no girlfriends right now. Don't worry about that. We'll work on that. That's what the spell is for. And maybe some attraction spells for new people to coming into your life. But yeah, this is a great time for all that sort of stuff. Healing work, it's pretty broad, honestly, what you can work on now, because I'm saying increase. So you can increase anything, right? It doesn't just have to be money. It could be opportunities. If you're running a business, increase clients, customers. Perfect time to hone in on that. So yeah, those are my tips and my suggestions on being a modern witch and sort of approaching this precarious time of Beltane and the veil thinning and where we are astrologically, and just all the energy at play. And we're coming up on soon a full moon, and the energy that's also bringing. Because if you're watching this, so Beltane is occurring on May 1st, and the full moon's going to be on May 5th. So that energy leading up to it is also at play. And that's a good thing. And honestly, when you are in a waxing moon phase, that's awesome for increase. So basically what I'm saying is, if you try it, it might really work right now. So whatever it is, whatever spells you want to try, do it. This is a perfect time to do it. So let me know in the comments if you're doing anything special in your own way. You don't have to share what it is, but if you do, that'd be awesome. I will be in a ritual May Eve and May 1st. So that's what I'm doing. And, my ritual, I'm group ritual, and then I'm doing some individual work as well. All right. Well, thanks again for watching. I really appreciate everyone. Again, I am Mika. This is Leap Taken. Consider hitting that join button to join the Leap Taken membership. Please like, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks again for watching. All right, bye.